Hey guys, so it's a new week. I hope everyone's doing well. Just in case you're wondering, it's a photo of my sister, okay? I know it's a little random, but it's the best lighting right here, okay? So I'm going to continue with my Mercury series, and the next three I'm going to be doing in this video are Mercury in Libra, Mercury in Scorpio, and Mercury in Sagittarius. So I'm just going to get right into it. And if you want a refresher on what Mercury is, go ahead and watch the beginning of one of the other two Mercury videos that I've done, which would be the ones in Aries through Virgo. So, Libra Mercury. This is sort of I've found from my experience, possibly a difficult placement for Mercury because Mercury is all about making decisions, and we know who has trouble making decisions: Libra. So people with Libra Mercury can be definitely a little spacey, definitely struggle with making decisions and having a firm stance on things. And this isn't necessarily because they're like afraid to make a decision, but they just really are always balancing between, two different topics or two different choices. So they really want to make the right decision because they just want it to be equal. They want everyone to be happy. They want, and especially Virgos with Libra Mercury probably struggle the most because they already have the Virgo sort of neurotic thing. And then with the Libra Mercury, it's like, but so yeah, they can have trouble making decisions, but on the bright side, they're usually very fair people. They're very artistic and creative people because the way that they think is not so structured. It's a little bit more, they think in terms of like lofty ideals and of music and art and just more kind of fluid type way of thinking, and they're very interested in diplomacy, in peace, and making things fair. Usually when it comes to the way that they communicate, it can be more soft-spoken or just more like friendly and wanting everybody to be happy and just, I wouldn't necessarily say that they have a cheerful outlook, but definitely cheerier than some of the other Mercury signs. And although they can see, as much as they can see the light, they can also see the dark, but they can be very frustrating to try to make a decision, because if you're like making plans with them and they're just like, I don't know, it's kind of like they maybe need someone else to help them make that decision, and they can be very spacey with stuff like losing their keys or just forgetting stuff, or just sort of because they don't think in that structured way of like ABC. They think, like I said, in more of like an artistic way. So they can be really creative people, and definitely a lot of, artistic creative people have Libra Mercury. They're probably good with like lyrics and songwriting and, stuff like that. But in the way that they're always weighing things, this can also make them somewhat good in arguments because they're able to like see both sides to something and like to give things the benefit of the doubt. Okay, so Scorpio Mercury. Scorpio Mercury people are very good detectives. They're very good at figuring stuff out. They're very analytical, but they keep it to themselves. Their information that they gather, they really keep to themselves. They can be quite secretive or private and may feel like a locked box trying to get inside of their mind because they can be very suspicious of other people's intentions and sort of calculated in the way that they think and the way that they communicate. Not in a sort of Virgo calculating way, but just sort of, since it's a water sign, it's more of like an emotional intuition, sort of feeling things out before they attack or before they make the decision. It's like they really want to like think about it in a deep way and feel the vibe of something. They can be very deep thinkers, definitely, into stuff like philosophy and psychology. They probably make great psychiatrists because they really enjoy looking at the underside of thoughts and human rationality, and kind of seeing deeper motivations and stuff like that. And, you know, like I said, when it comes to communication, they can be a little bit reserved or a little bit sort of, it's kind of like they're always maybe holding something back, or kind of holding their cards to where they're not going to just like say everything right away. It's going to be kind of like, you know, piece by piece. And again, this can depend on your Mars. As I mentioned in some of the other videos, Mars has an impact on how you do communicate your Mercury. But they're really good at research and stuff like that, because they're very analytical, like I said, and thorough, and can really dig into something. So it's hard to lie to them, because they notice inconsistencies. They notice stuff that other people don't notice. And also they are it's very easy for them to notice what is not being said rather than just what's being said. They can see the sort of underlying vibration to people's everything. You know, they really have a lot going on mentally. They can be a little bit dark, like have sort of dark sense of humor, or, you know, they can kind of think about dark things. They can even be a little perverted, or they definitely think about sex. They think about, you know, their minds are very not innocent. And then last but not least, we have Sagittarius Mercury. I recently made a little quick post in my stories saying that it's my personal belief that Sagittarius Mercury are the cockiest people in the world, the most arrogant people in the world. And I do hold to that, because, you know, if you just like look up a list of Mercury and Sag celebrities, they're all the cockiest, most just like confident, just like, you know, those kind of people that just like don't care. And the reason I think this is associated with Mercury is because it's the voice in your head. So when it's in Sagittarius, you're just like, you know, kind of rebellious. You're not really gonna think the way that everybody wants you to think, or that everybody's telling you to think. You definitely have a mind of your own, and it's very sort of fiery in this way of like, I do what I want, you know. And they can be arrogant. Not necessarily like they're totally obsessed with themselves and they only think about themselves all the time. I would say that'd be more Aries or Leo Mercury, but they're just confident in what they know. And, you know, you'll read a lot about how Sagittarius is not good, it's not well placed with Mercury, which is true, because Mercury is supposed to be more methodical. Mercury is supposed to be more rational, and a Sag Mercury is not really concerned with rationality, is not really concerned with method. It's more like whatever comes into their head, and just depending on their Mars, you know, a lot of times they'll just blurt it out, and they're just very, they can get really like riled up in conversation. And the other thing about Sag Mercury is that they're usually really funny. Like most Sag Mercury people are really hilarious, because they just think in this sort of, you know, do like devil may care sort of way of just like, just kind of brushing things off and sort of making it a joke. But they're usually very, very outgoing in their conversation, and very, very funny. Like a lot of funny people, celebrities, have Sag Mercury, because it's just like they're not afraid to say it, you know. They don't have that like mental filter that's like, ooh, I should not say that, or like they're just like, what, you know, like they're just kind of out there in that way. And pretty arrogant, you know, pretty cocky. They know their strengths. They know what they're good at. They don't see the point of being falsely modest, because they feel like they just are who they are, and it's not like, what's the point in trying to like act like you're a way that you're not. And in that way they can be, you know, they can kind of overcome anything, because they have this sort of optimism as well, that's like, at the end of the day, they're like, oh well, I'm gonna move on, and I'm gonna find a way to like be positive. And that's a really positive trait about Sag Mercury. So those are those guys. And again, it has an effect on, your Mars and also your sun sign would have an effect on how you express Mercury. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope everyone's doing well, hanging in there, staying safe, staying indoors, staying healthy. And thanks.